Hello, book lovers and English learners. Welcome to our January and February live read along. I'm Lydie Bureau. I'm an English teacher in France and also the founder of Ladies Book Club, a book club for learners of English. In this book club, I host live readings and discussion workshops on adaptations of classics of literature and contemporary novels in their original texts. I also tend to prioritize books that are written by women. Each month, we read and explore a different book for all levels of English. And each week, I host live reading sessions live on Instagram and on Zoom for free. And to be able to attend those live readings, you just need to subscribe to the newsletter to get the free link and attend those reading sessions. And 3 times a month, I also meet with the members of the book club in a live discussion workshop via Zoom to talk about the chapters that we have read that week. And this way, members can improve their speaking skills, but also their critical thinking skills, share their views on the characters and the plot, and also reflect on the story and eventually express their own experiences, shared experiences with the characters, if it happens that they had similar experiences. And it's an amazing way to be part of the community of the book club, and also you will get the chance to decide the next book to read. Since January, we have been reading this book. It ends with us in its original text. This is a contemporary novel. It's a romance or dark romance written by Colleen Hoover, and it was published in 2016. If you want to know more about this novel and Colleen Hoover and the author Colleen Hoover, then I invite you to listen to the podcast episode 29. This is the podcast of the book club in which I talk about the book and the author, her life and work, and all her works. And the podcast is called Read in English, and it's available on YouTube and on Spotify. Today is live read along session 17, and we are going to read chapter 28. Only this chapter today, because it's a long chapter. So we're only going to focus on this one. And tomorrow, this Saturday, I will host our 6th live discussion workshop, to talk about chapters 23 to 28. So we'll have a lot to talk about. If you want to attend this workshop, you just need to subscribe to the book club, become a member, and join Ladies Book Club. For that, you just need to go to Ladies Book Club website or click on the link in the description, and that's it. Easy. And if you have any questions, if there is any issue with the links or anything, but I think everything should be working. But if you have any questions, please do email me or send me a private message on Instagram or on Facebook, and I will be happy to help. Right. So before I get into the reading of chapter 28, I'm going to quickly recap chapter 25, 26, and 27. So the chapters that we have read on Wednesday. So in chapter 25, Lily is at Atlas's house, and she is just resting, recovering from the violent night that she had. with Ryle, and she basically just need to process everything that just happened and the fact that she had learned that she is now pregnant, not from last night, of course, from the night before, but from the other, from another a couple months, of course. So she has to bear the fact that she is now carrying Ryan's baby, their baby. So yeah. So there is a lot to process here. In this chapter, Atlas is cooking something to Lily, and they are having a lovely chat. And in this chapter, we also have the last entry or the first new entry of Lily's journal, because she starts writing back again to Ellen, and she's catching up with Ellen and her journal and journal's entry. So it shows that maybe now that she has found Atlas again, she reconnected with Atlas in a way. She reconnects to her journal as well, to her writing, um, her writings, and to her journal. Yeah, definitely. In chapter 26, she is still at Atlas's, because well, Atlas realized that she still needed to stay, and Lily feels the need as well. She feels the need to stay at his place. So she's at his house. Well, she's still at his place, and she wants to stay a couple of days. If and of course Atlas is happy to have her at his house. And she's actually watching the show, Ellen DeGeneres' show. It's been a while that she hasn't watched the show. And they're together in the couch like they used to when they were young, and they're watching the show together. But so much has changed since they were 17. And Lily's completely confused, and she realizes how much hurt she still how much pain she still feels about Atlas leaving her and not trying to get her, finding her again. And there is this strange, it was this confusion of feelings where she realizes that she's blaming him for her situation, and in a sense that he hadn't um, if he had reconnected with her, if he had come back to her or tried to find her, then she wouldn't be in that position. So you can feel that she still has feelings for Atlas, and because she still has she's still angry at him. We can sense that by the fact that she's trying to find a guilt. She tries to find blame in him and to, yeah, basically blame the whole world for her situation and for the fact that she is terribly um, heartbroken and devastated by the whole thing, her whole situation, and she's broken in a way. So, so they were together on the couch and they were starting to be close to each other. And then when this realization hits her back, she decides to get up and go to bed uh, because it was um, hard to for her. Well, yeah, it seems like um, she holds so much pain that she can't really, and she keeps that in her head. She doesn't tell him anything. This is all inner thinking, and and she doesn't say anything to him, but she feels kind of upset, and well, she decides to go back to her room and take her distance to him to process her feelings um, and reflect on the situation. Because on the other hand, she's upset, she's angry at him for not coming back to her, but at the same time, she's so thankful now that he is there. So tricky. Now, chapter 27. Chapter 27, she decides to go back to her shop because there is work to be done, obviously. So it's probably the third day. And she is very scared of going back uh, to her workplace because she knows that probably Ryle might come back, might show up, and obviously he does. So in the chapter, yeah, the chapter 27 is very short, and Ryle shows up at the end of the day, and she's about to close the shop, I think. And anyway, he comes by, and she froze, and he tells her that he is leaving for England for his training. If you remember, he was selected to do training in Cambridge for his well, for neurosurgeon, and he tells her that, well, he's going to be gone for 3 months. She can go back to the flat because he's not going to be there, and he's not going to bother her. So he's asking her to come back in a way. He paid all the bills and everything, so she can go back safely. But he seems to be very understanding. You need time, but he doesn't really apologize or anything. Probably he knows that doesn't it won't help. And Lily only says to him that that reproaches him uh, for not asking, just simply asking for the truth. That's it. And 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 she's disappointed. This is for her the worst part of the whole situation is the fact that he didn't take the time to ask her or to uh, yeah to take the time give he didn't give her the time to explain herself and and listen to her basically. So she's um, almost more upset about or angry at him about the fact that he didn't take the time, it didn't that he didn't ask her about the whole situation. He didn't listen to her. He didn't want to listen to her. Than the actual physical assault in a way. So that's that is what pains her the most. Right. So that being said, now let's get into the reading of chapter 28. After Ryan left his keys this afternoon, oh, it wasn't the end of the day, it was the afternoon, and never mind. I debated going back to our new apartment. I even had a cab pull up to the building, but I couldn't force myself out of the car. I knew if I went back there today, I'd probably see Eliza at some point. I'm not ready to explain the stitches on my forehead to her. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to see the kitchen where Ryan's harsh words cut through me. I'm not ready to walk into the bedroom where I was completely destroyed. So instead of returning to my own home, I took the cab back to Atlas's house. It feels like my only safe zone right now. I don't have to confront things when I'm hiding out here. Atlas already texted me twice today checking on me. So when I get a text a few minutes before 7 o'clock in the evening, I assume it's from him. It's not. It's from Eliza. Eliza. You're home from yet? Oh, you from yet, sorry. You're home from work yet? Come up and visit us. I'm already bored. My heart sinks when I read her text. She has no idea what happened between me and Ryle. I wonder if Ryle even told her he left for England today. My thumb types and erases and types some more as I try to come up with a good excuse as to why I'm not there. Me. I can't. I'm in the emergency room. Hit my head on that shelf on the storage room at work, getting stitches. So here again, she lies to her. I hate that I lied to her, but it'll save me from having to explain the cut and also why I'm not home right now. Oh no, are you alone? Marshall can come sit with you since Ryan is gone. Uh-huh. Okay, so she knows Ryan left for England. That's good. And she thinks we're fine. This is good. This means I have at least 3 months before I have to tell her the truth. Look at me, sweeping shit under the rug, just like my mother. Me. No, I'm fine. I'll be finished up by the time Marshall could even get here. I'll come back tomorrow after work. Give Riley a kiss for me. I lock the screen on my phone and set it on my bed. It's dark outside now. So I immediately see the scroll of the headlights as someone pulls into the driveway to the side of the house and parks in the garage. My heart begins to race as fear rushes through me. Is it Ryan? Did he find out where Atlas lives? Moments later, there is a loud knock at the front door. More like pounding. The doorbell also rings. I tiptoe to the window and barely move the curtains over far enough to take a look outside. I can't see who's at the door, but there is a truck in the driveway. It doesn't belong to Ryle. Could it be Atlas's girlfriend? Cassie? I grab my phone and make my way down the hallway toward the living room. The pounding on the door and the chime of the doorbell are still going off simultaneously. Whoever is at the door is being ridiculously impatient. If it is Cassie, I already find her extremely annoying. Atlas! A guy yells. Open the damn door! Another voice, also male, yells. My balls are freezing up! They're raisins, man! Open the door! Before I open the door, I let them know Atlas isn't home. I text him, hoping he is about to pull in the driveway and deal with this himself. Where are you? There are two men at your front door, and I have no idea if I should let them in. I wait through more through more presses of the doorbell and more pounding, but Atlas doesn't immediately text me back. I finally walk to the door and leave the chain bolted, but unlock the deadbolt and open the door a few inches. So she opened the door slightly with the chain. One of the guys is tall, about 6 feet or so. Despite the youthful look to his face, his hair is salt and pepper, black with a little bit of grey sprinkled in. The other one is shorter by a few inches, with sandy brown hair and a baby face. They both look to be in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. The tall one's face twists into confusion. Who are you? He asks, peeking through the door. Lily, who are you? The shorter one pushes in front of the taller one. Is Atlas here? I don't want to tell them no, because then they'll know I'm here alone. I don't necessarily hold much trust in the male population this week. The phone in my hand rings, and all three of us jump from the unexpectedness of it. It's Atlas. I swipe the answer button and bring it to my ear. Hello? It's fine, Lily. They're just friends. They're just friend of mine. They're just friends of mine. I forgot it was Friday. We always play poker on Fridays. I'll call them now and tell them to leave. I look back at the two of them and they're just standing there watching me. I feel bad that Atlas feels like he has to cancel his plans just because I'm crashing at his house. I shut the door and unlock the deadbolt, then open the door again, motioning them inside. It's fine, Atlas. You don't have to cancel your plans. I was about to go to bed anyway. No, I'm on my way. I'll have them leave. I still have the phone pressed to my ear when the two men enter the living room. See you soon, I said to Atlas, and then end the call. The next few seconds are awkward as the guys assess me and I assess them. What are your names? I'm Darren, the tall one says. Brad, the shorter one says. Lily, I said to them, even though I already told them my name. Atlas will be here soon. I move to close the door and they seem to relax a little. Darren heads into the kitchen and helps himself to Atlas's refrigerator. Brad takes off his jacket and hangs it up. Do you know how to play poker, Lily? Lily? Not Lily. Sorry, Lily. I shrug. It's been a few years, but I used to play with friends in college. Both of them walk toward the dining room table. What happened to your head? Darren asks as he takes a seat. He asks it so casually, like it doesn't even cross his mind that it might be a sensitive subject. I don't know why. I have an urge to give him the naked truth. Maybe I just want to see how someone will react when they find out my own husband did this to me. My husband happened. We got into a fight 2 nights ago, and he head-butted me. Atlas took me to the emergency room. They gave me 60 stitches and told me I was pregnant. Now I'm hiding out here until I figure out what to do. Poor Darren is frozen, halfway between standing and sitting. He has no idea how to respond to that. Based on the look on his face, I think he's convinced I'm crazy. Brad pulls out his chair and takes a seat, pointing at me. Sorry. Oh, it froze. He has no. Brad pulls out his chair and takes a seat, pointing at me. You should get some Roden and Fields. The amp roller works wonders for scarring. I immediately laugh at his random response. Somehow. Jesus, Brad, Darren says, finally sinking into his seat. You're worse than your wife with this direct sales shit. You're like a walking infomercial. Brad raises his hands in defense. What? He says innocently. I'm not trying to tell her anything. I'm being honest. The stuff works. You know that if you use it on your damn acne. Screw you, Darren says. It's like you're trying to be a perpetual teenager, Brad mutters. Acne isn't cool when you're 30. Brad pulls out the chair next to him while Darren begins shuffling a deck of cards. Have a seat, Lily. One of our friends decided to be an idiot and get married last week, and now his wife won't let him come to poker night anymore. You can be his fill-in until he gets a divorce. I had every intention of hiding out in my room tonight, but these two make it hard to walk away. I take a seat next to Brad and reach across the table. Hand me those, I said to Darren. He's shuffling the cards like a one-armed infant. He raises an eyebrow and pushes the deck of cards across the table. I don't know much about card games, but I can shuffle cards like a pro. I separate the cards into 2 piles and scoot them together, pressing my thumbs to the ends, watching as they beautifully intertwine. Darren and Brad are staring at the deck of cards when there's another knock on the door. This time the door swings open without pause and a guy walks in, dressed in what looks like a very expensive tweed jacket. There's a scarf wrapped around his neck, and he begins to unwind it as soon as he slams the door behind him. He nudges his head in my direction as he walks toward the kitchen. Who are you? He's older than you. He's older than the other two, probably in his mid-40s. Atlas definitely has an interest in mix of friends. This is Lily, Brad says. She's married to an asshole and just found out she's pregnant with the asshole's baby. Lily, this is Jimmy. He's pompous and arrogant. Pompous and arrogant are the same thing, idiot. Pompous and arrogant are the same thing, idiot, Jimmy says. He pulls out the chair next to Darren and nudges his head at the cards in my hands. Did Atlas plant you here to hustle us? What kind of average person knows how to shuffle cards like that? I smile and begin to pass cards out to cards pa no. I smile and begin to pass cards out to each of them. I guess we'll have to play around. To find out. We are on our third round of bets when Atlas finally walks in. He closes the door behind him and looks around at the four of us. Brad said something funny right before Atlas opened the door, so I'm in the middle of a fit of laughter when Atlas locks eyes with me. He nods his head toward the kitchen and begins walking in that direction. Fold, I say, laying my cards flat on the table as I stand up to follow him. When I get to the kitchen, he's standing where he isn't visible to the guys at the table. I walk over to him and lean against the counter. You want me to ask them to leave? I shake my head. No, don't do that. I'm actually enjoying it. It's keeping my mind off things. He nods, and I can't help but notice how he smells like herbs, rosemary specifically. It makes me wish I could see him in action at his restaurant. You're hungry? He asks. I shake my head. Not really. I ate some leftover pasta a couple hours ago. My hands are pressed into the counter on either side of me. He takes a step closer and puts one of his hands over mine, brushing my thumbs across the top of it. I know it doesn't mean for it to be anything more than a comforting gesture, but when he touches me, it feels like a whole lot more. A rush of warmth moves up my chest, and I immediately drop my eyes to our hands. Atlas pauses his thumb for a second, like he feels it too. He pulls his hand away and backs up a step. Sorry, he muses, turning toward the refrigerator, pretending to look for something. It's obvious he's trying to spare me from the awkwardness of what just happened. I walk back to the table and pick up my cards for the next round. A couple of minutes later, Atlas walks over and takes the seat next to me. Jimmy shuffles out a round of new cards to everyone. So, Atlas, how do you and Lily know each other? Atlas picks up his cards, one at a time. Lily saved my life when we were kids, he says, matter of fact. He glances over at me and winks, and I drown in guilt for the way that wink makes me feel, especially at a time like this. Why is my heart doing this to me? Oh, that's sweet, Brad says. Lily saved your life. Now you're saving hers. Atlas lowers his cards and glares at Brad. Excuse me? Relax, Brad says. Me and Lily are tight. She knows I'm kidding. Brad looks at me. Your life might be complete crap right now, Lily, but it'll get better. Trust me, I've been there. Darren laughs. You've been bit up and pregnant and hiding out at another man's house? He says to Brad. Atlas slaps his cards on the table and pushes back in his chair. What the hell is wrong with you? He yells at Darren. I reach over and squeeze his arm reassuringly. Relax, I say. We bonded before you got here. I actually don't mind that they are making light of my situation. It really does make it a little less heavy. He runs a frustrated hand through his hair, shaking his head. I'm so confused, he says. You were alone with them for 10 minutes. I laugh. You can learn a lot about someone in 10 minutes. I try to redirect the conversation. So, how do you all know each other? Darren leans forward and points at himself. I'm the sous chef at Bibs. He points at Brad. He's the dishwasher. For now, Brad interjects. I'm working my way up. What about you? I say to Jimmy. He smirks and says, take a guess. Based on the way he dresses and the fact that he's been called arrogant and pompous, I'd have to assume Maître de Atlas laughs. Jimmy actually works in valet. I glance back at Jimmy and raise an eyebrow. He tosses three pocket chips down and says, it's true. I park cars for tips. Don't let him fool you, Atlas says. He works in valet, but only because he's so rich. He gets bored. I smile. It reminds me of Eliza. I have an employee like that. Only works because she's bored. She's actually the best employee I have. Damn straight, Jimmy muses. I take a look at my cards when it's my turn and toss in the three poker chips. Atlas's phone rings and he pulls it out of his pocket. I'm raising the pot with another chip when he excuses himself from the table to take the call. Fold, Brett says, slapping his cards on the table. I'm watching the hallway. Atlas just disappeared down in a hurry. It makes me wonder if he's talking to Cassie or if there is someone else in his life. I know what he does for a living. I know he has at least 3 friends. I just know nothing about his love life. Darren lays his cards on the table. 4 of a kind. I lay down my straight flush and reach forward for all the poker chips as Darren groans. So, does Cassie not usually come to poker night? I ask, fishing for more information on Atlas. Information I'm too scared to ask him myself. Cassie, Brett says. I stack my winnings up in front of me and nod. Isn't that his girlfriend's name? Darren laughs. Atlas doesn't have a girlfriend. I've known him for 2 years and he's never mentioned anyone named Cassie. He begins passing out new cards, but I'm trying to absorb the information he just gave me. I pick up my 2 cards when Atlas walks back into the room. Hey, Atlas, Jimmy says, who the hell is Cassie? And how come we've never heard you talk about her? Oh, shit. I'm completely mortified. I tighten my grip around the cards in my hands and try to avoid looking up at Atlas. But the room grows so quiet. It would be more obvious if I didn't look at him. He's staring at he's staring at Jimmy. Jimmy is staring at him. Brad and Darren are staring at me. Atlas folds his lips together for a moment and then says, there is no Cassie. His eyes meet mine, but only for a brief second. But in that brief second, I can see it written all over his face. There never was a Cassie. He lied to me. Atlas clears his throat and then says, listen, guys, I should have cancelled tonight. This week has been kind of He rubs his hand over his mouth and Jimmy stands up. He squeezes Atlas on the shoulder and says, "Next week, my place." Atlas nods appreciatively. Sorry. The three of them begin to gather their cards and poker chips. Brad pries my cards from my fingers apologetically because I'm unable to move as I clutch them tightly. "It was lovely meeting you, Lily," Brad says. I somehow find the strength to smile and stand up. I give them all hugs goodbye, and after the front door closes behind them, it's just me and Atlas in the room. And no Cassie. Cassie's never even been in this room because Cassie doesn't exist. What the hell? Atlas hasn't moved from his spot near the table. Neither have I. He's standing firm with his arms folded across his chest. His head is slightly tilted down, but his eyes are boring into me from across the table. Why would he lie to me? Ryle and I weren't even an official couple yet when I ran into Atlas at that restaurant the first time. Hell, if Atlas had given me any reason to believe there was a chance between us that night, I know without a doubt that I would have chosen him over Ryle. I barely even knew Ryle at that point. But Atlas didn't say anything. He lied to me, told me he'd been in a relationship for an entire year. Why? Why would he do that unless he didn't want me to think I had a chance with him? Maybe I've been wrong all this time. Maybe he never loved, maybe he never, sorry, maybe he never even loved me to begin with. And he knew that inventing this Cassie person would keep me away from him for good. Yet, here I am, crashing at his house, interacting with his friends, eating his food, using his shower. I can feel the tears begin to sting my eyes. And the last thing I want is to stand in front of him and cry right now. I walk around the table and rush past him. I don't make it far when he grabs my hand. "Wait." I stop, still facing the other direction. "Talk to me, Lily." He's right behind me now, his hand still wrapped around mine. I pull it away from him and walk to the other side of the living room. I spin and face him just as the first tear rolls down my cheek. Oh, here she is. Why did you never come back for me? That's the question. He looked prepared for anything to come out of my mouth other than the words I just spoke to him. He runs a hand through his hair and walks to the couch, taking a seat. After blowing out a calming breath, he carefully looks over at me. "I did, Lily. I don't allow air to move in or out of my lungs. I stand completely still, processing his answer. He came back for me." He folds his hands together in front of him. When I got out of the Marines the first time, I went back to Maine, hoping to find you. I asked around and found out which college you went to. I wasn't sure what to expect when I showed up because you were two different people, because we were two different people by then. It had been 4 years since we saw each other. I knew a lot about both of us. I knew a lot about both of us had probably changed in those 4 years. My knees feel weak, so I walk to the chair next to him and lower myself. He came back for me. He came back for me. I walked around. I walked around your campus the whole day looking for you. Finally, late that afternoon, I saw you. You were sitting in the courtyard with a group of your friends. I watched you for a long time, trying to work up the courage to walk over to you. You were laughing. You looked happy. You were vibrant, like I'd never seen you before. I had never felt that kind of happiness for another person like I felt when I saw you that day. Just knowing you were okay. He pauses for a moment. My hands are clenched around my stomach because it hurts. It hurts knowing I was so close to him and I didn't even know. I began walking toward I began walking toward you when someone came up behind you, a guy. He dropped to his knees next to you, and when you saw him, you smiled and threw your arms around him. Then you kissed. I closed my eyes. He was just a boy I dated for 6 months. He never even made me feel a fraction of what I had felt for Atlas. He blows out a sharp breath. I left after that. When I saw that you were happy, it was the worst and best feeling a person could ever have at once. But I believed at that point that my life was still not good enough for you. I had nothing to offer you but love. And to me, you deserved more than that. The next day, I signed up for another tour in the Marines. And now he tosses his hand up lazily in the air, like nothing about his life is impressive. I bury my hand in my head in my hands to take a moment. I quietly grieve what could have been, what is, what wasn't. My fingers move to the tattoo on my shoulder. I begin to wonder if I'll ever be able to fill in that hole now. It makes me wonder if Atlas ever feels like I felt when I got this tattoo, like all the air is being let out of his heart. I still don't understand why he lied to me after running into me at his restaurant. If he really felt the things I felt for him, why would he make something like that? Why would he make something like that up? Why did you lie about your Why did you lie about having a girlfriend? He rubs a hand over his face. And I can already see the regret before I even hear it in his voice. I said that because you looked happy that night. When I saw you telling him goodbye, it hurt like hell. But at the same time, I was relieved that you seemed to be in a really good place. I didn't want you to worry about me. And I don't know, maybe I was a little jealous. I don't know, Lily. I regretted lying to you as soon as I did it. My hand goes to my mouth. My mind starts to race just as fast as my heart is racing. I instantly start thinking about the what ifs. What if he would have been honest with me, told me how it felt? Where would we be now? I want to ask him why he did it, why he didn't fight for me, why he didn't fight for me. But I don't have to ask him because I already know the answer. He thought he was giving me what I wanted because all he's ever wanted from me was happiness. And for some stupid reason, he's never felt I could get that with him. So sad. Consider it, Atlas. The more I think about it, the more difficult it becomes to breathe. I think about Atlas, Ryle, tonight. 2 nights ago. It's too much. I stand up and make my way back to the guest bedroom. I pick up my phone and grab my purse and go back to the living room. Atlas hasn't moved. Ryan left for England today, I say. I think I should probably go home now. Can you drive me? A sadness enters his eyes. Oh, terrible. And when it does, I know that leaving is the right thing to do. Neither of us has closure. I'm not sure we'll ever get it. I'm beginning to think closure is a myth. And being here right now while I'm still processing everything that's happening to my life is just going to make things worse for me. I have to eliminate as much confusion as possible. And right now, my feelings for Atlas top the list of most confusing. He presses his lips tightly together for a moment, and then he nods and grabs his keys. Neither of us speaks the entire drive to my apartment. He doesn't drop me off. He pulls into the parking lot and gets out of his car. I'd feel better if you let me walk you up, he says. I nod, and we wade through even more silence as we ride the elevator up to the 7th floor. He follows me all the way to my apartment. I fish around in my purse for the keys and don't even realize my hands are shaking until my third failed attempt to open the door. Atlas calmly takes the keys from me, and I step aside as he opens the door for me. Do you want me to make sure no one's here? He asks. I nod. I know Ryle isn't here because he's on his way to England. But I'm honestly still a little scared to walk into the apartment by myself. Atlas walks in before me and flips on the lights. He continues walking through the apartment, flipping on all the lights and walking into each of the rooms. When he makes it back to the living room, he slides his hands in his jacket pockets. He takes a deep breath and then says, I don't know what happens next, Lily. He does. He knows. He just doesn't want it to happen because we both know how much it hurts to say goodbye to each other. I look away from him because seeing the look on his face right now cuts straight to my heart. I fold my arms over my chest and stare at the floor. I have a lot to work through, Atlas. A lot. And I'm scared I won't be able to do it with you in my life. I lift my eyes back to his. I hope you don't take offense to that, because if anything, it's a compliment. He regards me silently for a moment, not at all surprised by what I'm saying, but I can see there's so much he wants to say. There is a lot I wish I could say to him too, but we both know discussing the two of us isn't appropriate at this point. I'm married. I'm pregnant with another man's baby, and he's standing in the living room of an apartment that another man bought for me. I'd say these aren't very good conditions in which to bring up all the things we should have said to each other a long time ago. He looks at the door momentarily as if he's trying to decide to leave or speak. I can see the twitch in his jaw right before he locks eyes with me. If you ever need me, I want you to call me, he says. But only if it's an emergency. I'm not capable of being casual with you, Lily. Oh. I'm taken. I'm taken aback by his words, but only momentarily. As much as I wasn't expecting him to admit it, is absolutely right. Since the day we met, there has been nothing casual about our relationship. It's either all in or not in at all. It's why that's why we that's why he separated ties when he left for the military. He knew that a casual friendship would never work between us. It would have been too painful. Apparently, that hasn't changed. Goodbye, Atlas. Saying those words again tears me up almost as much as the first time I had to say them. He winces and then turns and walks to the door like he can't leave fast enough. When the door closes behind him, I walk over and lock it, then press my head against it. 2 days ago, I was asking myself how my life could possibly get any better. Today, I'm asking myself how could it be, how it could possibly get any worse. I jump back with the sudden knock at the door. It's only been 10 seconds since he walked out. So I know it's Atlas. I unlock it and open it, and I'm suddenly pressed against something soft. Oh, I unlock it and open it, and I'm suddenly pressed against something soft. Atlas's arms wrap tightly around me, desperately, and his lips are pressed against the side of my head. I squeeze my eyes shut and finally let the tears fall. I've cried so many tears for Ryle over the past 2 days. I have no idea how I still have any left for Atlas. But I do, because they're falling down my cheeks like rain. Lily, he whispers, still holding me tightly. I know this is the last thing you need to hear right now, but I have to say it because I've walked away from you too many times without saying what I really want to say. He pulls back to look down at me, and when he sees my tears, he brings his hands up to my cheeks. In the future, if by some miracle you ever find yourself in the position to fall in love again, fall in love with me. Oh, this girl. Give me a second. This is really beautiful. Fall in love with me. I love it. Um, he presses his lips against my forehead. You're still my favorite person, Lily. Always will be. He releases me and walks away, not even needing a response. Oh gosh. When I close the door again, I slide to the floor. My heart feels like it wants to give up. I don't blame it. It suffered through two separate heartaches in the course of 2 days. And I have a feeling it's going to be a long time before either of those heartaches can even begin to heal. Oh gosh, this is so sad and beautiful, beautifully sad. This is oh my gosh. I didn't expect to go that way, to go this way because in the film um there are not so many dialogues between Atlas and Lily in that scene where he takes her back to the apartment. Doesn't seem to, I don't remember uh seeing it in the film, so it doesn't. I don't think it does happen. And the whole scene with the friends is not in the no in the adaptation in the film. So there are so many things that weren't um, in the film with the in this chapter. So yeah, I did not expect an end like this with these two. So well, it's not finished. We still have a couple of chapters yet, so it's just chapter 28, but still, yeah, it's beautifully sad. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this live reading and that you would want to share your thoughts and be part of the book club. I you can you can definitely join the conversation and this workshop tomorrow if you are happy to join in and share your feelings around this book. I would love to hear your thoughts, or you can also leave a comment in below this video. In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow as well at 6:30 p.m. Central European Time for a new live reading, live. Oh yeah, a new live reading on Instagram and Zoom. We will read chapters 29 and 30. So I wish you a beautiful end of the day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.